March 2nd, 2025, Northwest Houston. Three masked men quietly step onto the property of one of the internet's biggest personalities. They aren't carrying duffel bags, they don't check parked cars, they don't even glance around the house looking for valuables. Instead, they move with remarkable confidence, slipping through the back of the property before disappearing into the kitchen. Room by room, they make their way upstairs as if they've rehearsed the route before. They aren't here to just rob a house, they're here for one person. Inside the bedroom, Kaitlyn Siragusa, better known online as Amouranth, is asleep. Millions of people know her as one of the most successful streamers on the internet, but tonight none of that matters. The bedroom door bursts open and the three armed men rush inside and immediately begin shouting a demand. Where's the crypto? This isn't a burglary in the traditional sense. The attackers don't ask for cash or jewelry. They don't ask where the safe is. According to investigators, they want access to her cryptocurrency accounts. When she tells them she can't simply hand it over, they pistol whip her repeatedly and drag her by the hair down the stairs. For 14 uninterrupted minutes, security cameras positioned throughout the property record everything. They record the masked men moving through the house. They record the confrontation upstairs. They record the frantic moments that follow. Then just as quickly as the attack began, everything changes. Gunshots ring out. The men sprint toward the exit with one voice, screaming, "I got shot!" At first glance, this looks like another violent home invasion, but it isn't. Police would eventually argue that this attack had begun months earlier, long before anyone climbed a fence or kicked in a bedroom door. It started with a screenshot.
Tonight, we are hearing from a Houston area influencer who was chased down, held up at gunpoint, even pistol whipped inside her home. The whole thing, it was caught on surveillance video. Kaitlyn Siragusa, better known by her millions of followers online as Amouranth, is sharing the terrifying experience after one of the people allegedly involved was arrested and appeared before a judge. Matt Doherty spoke with her at her home. He joins us live. Matt?
The couple believes the attackers may have been drawn to the home after a post was made on Amouranth's social media showing a screenshot of her $20 million in cryptocurrency that she held at the time, but nobody can say for certain.
The obvious question is why this house? Because this wasn't a random burglary. The attackers didn't spend the night driving through wealthy neighborhoods hoping to get lucky. According to investigators, they arrived knowing exactly who lived there and exactly what they wanted. That raises a much bigger question than how they broke in. It raises the question of how they knew there was something worth risking their lives for in the first place. Months before the attack, Kaitlyn Siragusa had become one of the internet's biggest success stories. Millions knew her through live streams, subscription content, and a growing list of businesses that extended far beyond online entertainment. She openly spoke about investing the money she earned, purchasing commercial property, and even acquiring gas stations around Houston.
When it's like a 3 million, it's usually like the gas station stuff normally. Yeah.
That's the gas station?
But yeah, gas stations are like 3 mil something each.
How many do you own?
I have a few different ones. Like I think about 3 right now. I'm working on a 4th.
How much have you spent on gas stations total?
Well, each one I will invest money into, and I think each is worth about like 3 to 4 mil. Because that's like the land plus all the facilities, right?
Okay, let's call it 3.5 million for all 3 each.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10, 5, 0, 0. What's your yearly cash flow for these?
I don't really know it off the top usually because I don't really look at them for profitability. It's more of just so I can reduce that on paper to the IRS how much I'm making because I have all these business expenses.
Her wealth wasn't a secret. In many ways, it had become part of her public identity. Then, in November 2024, she shared something that seemed completely ordinary. She posted a screenshot from her Coinbase account on X with a simple question asking whether she should continue holding her Bitcoin or sell it. Hidden inside that screenshot was a number almost impossible to ignore. The account displayed cryptocurrency holdings worth more than $20 million, split primarily between Bitcoin and Ethereum. The post quickly spread across the internet, accumulating millions of views. To most people, it was simply another viral flex from a creator known for making headlines, but for others, it would serve another purpose entirely. It identified one of the largest publicly known cryptocurrency holders in the country, and in doing so, handed criminals a potential target. To understand why that matters, you first have to understand what makes cryptocurrency different from almost every other form of money. If someone steals your credit card, the bank can freeze the account. Fraud departments investigate suspicious transactions every day. Wire transfers can sometimes be intercepted. Traditional financial systems have layers of protection built around the assumption that criminals will eventually find a way in. Cryptocurrency works differently. Whoever controls the private keys controls the money. There is no customer support line that can reverse a Bitcoin transaction. No bank manager can restore your balance after the coins have been transferred. Once they're gone, they're usually gone for good, and if police are right, then the robbery in Houston didn't begin with 3 masked men climbing over a fence. It began months earlier with a screenshot seen by millions.
But we're talking about crypto here. Had you put out online that you had all this crypto, or like how would they even know of that?
Yeah, well, we've tweeted about it before, but so I didn't imagine people would come looking for crypto, right? Because it's like of all the things to want to steal, there's there's computers everywhere, there's nice cars, they want the crypto.
So they didn't go after anything else; they just wanted the crypto.
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah.
How crazy. What do you say to people who are public figures who put themselves out online? Because this was so scary, and it's interesting that they could find where you live and track you down like that. What's your message?
If your state allows it, definitely learn how to protect yourself.
At 10:51 p.m. on March 2nd, 2025, 3 masked men have already made it onto the property. Instead of trying the front door, they force their way in by shooting through a rear patio window before entering the house. Upstairs, Kaitlyn Siragusa is asleep when the noise reaches the bedroom. She barely has time to react before footsteps begin moving through the house. They move through the kitchen as they walk past expensive appliances, electronics, and valuables without giving any of them a second glance. They don't stop to search drawers or open cabinets. Every turn they make suggests they already know the layout of the house. Within seconds, they're climbing the staircase toward the second floor. Outside the bedroom, something unexpected happens. The men stop. Instead of forcing the door immediately, they appear hesitant and begin arguing. One of them notices the security camera mounted nearby. For several long seconds, they debate what to do next. Then the hesitation disappears as gunshots tear through the door. When that still isn't enough, they kick it open and rush inside. They force Siragusa out of bed and shove a phone into her hands, ordering her to unlock her cryptocurrency accounts while a gun is pointed at her head. Calling the police isn't an option. Any wrong move could end the robbery before it ends her life. Instead, she opens X and manages to send a message consisting of just 5 words. "I'm being robbed at gunpoint." The attackers never notice. They continue demanding access to the wallet, growing more aggressive each time they fail to get what they came for. They strike her repeatedly with the butt of a handgun. The beating had already begun before the security cameras captured the confrontation, and by the time she's dragged out of the bedroom, blood is running down her face and onto the floor. Siragusa finally begins cooperating, telling them she'll take them where they need to go. She walks out of the bedroom, down the staircase, and through the house with 3 armed men following only a few feet behind. But while the attackers believe they are in complete control, something else is happening that they cannot see. Nick Lee, Siragusa's husband, is not inside the bedroom. He is in a separate building elsewhere on the property. He has already realized something is wrong. As the men continue demanding access to the cryptocurrency, the couple remain connected. Siragusa later said she deliberately began moving the intruders through the property, guiding them toward the detached building where she knew Nick was waiting. The men don't realize it yet. They're no longer hunting their victim, they're walking into an ambush. As the masked men approach the doorway, gunshots suddenly break the silence. The intruders immediately turn and run. Seconds later, the driveway camera captures all 3 sprinting away from the property in complete panic. Then one voice cuts through the darkness. "I got shot! I got shot!"
I'm in here! It's in here! Come on! Go, 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 go!
Investigators later found a trail of blood leading away from the property, confirming their belief that at least one of the suspects had been hit during the exchange. For all of their planning, the attackers leave with almost nothing. The only item they managed to take is a laptop, which investigators later recovered during the course of the investigation. The robbery that was supposed to end with more than $20 million in cryptocurrency is over in less than 15 minutes. Now the only question is whether the men who disappeared into the night managed to disappear for good. At first, the search didn't look promising. The attackers flee on foot before anyone can identify them. They're wearing masks, they've abandoned the robbery, and under the cover of darkness, they seem to have vanished as quickly as they appeared. But unlike the carefully planned attack itself, their escape begins to fall apart almost immediately. Outside the property, investigators recover a trail of blood leading away from the house, confirming what everyone had already suspected after hearing the security footage. One of the attackers hadn't escaped unharmed. Somewhere in Houston, someone was now walking around with a fresh gunshot wound. That single detail immediately narrows the search. A gunshot victim can't simply disappear forever. Eventually, they'll need help. Detectives then begin reconstructing the route the suspects took before and after the robbery. Surveillance footage from the surrounding neighborhood leads them to a nearby apartment complex connected to the vehicle used during the operation. There, another mistake surfaces. A resident reports that license plates have been stolen from 2 vehicles. While canvassing the area, investigators discover something even stranger lying nearby. Discarded school paperwork. Most of it appears worthless, but one damaged page contains part of a name: DeMarcus Maury. The final letters have been torn away. On its own, it isn't enough to identify a suspect, let alone make an arrest, but investigations like this are rarely solved by one decisive clue. The partially destroyed paperwork gives detectives something they didn't have before: a name to compare against everything else they are collecting. Meanwhile, investigators are also looking for the getaway car. Security cameras had recorded a dark Toyota repeatedly driving past Siragusa's home before the break-in. According to court documents, the vehicle passed the property multiple times in the hour leading up to the robbery, suggesting the occupants were conducting surveillance before making their move. Although the license plate visible during the attack had been reported stolen, detectives used license plate reader data and additional surveillance footage to identify another plate associated with the same Toyota. By March 5th, the car had been captured again by traffic cameras, giving investigators their next lead. Then chance does what weeks of detective work sometimes cannot. On March 6th, a Texas state trooper stops a Toyota in Galveston County for simply failing to use a turn signal. It's the kind of traffic violation that happens thousands of times every day. When the trooper discovers the driver doesn't have a valid license, the routine stop becomes a custodial arrest, allowing officers to search the vehicle. Inside the car, they find exactly what they weren't expecting. The rear passenger seat is stained with blood. Someone has clearly tried to scrub it clean, but not well enough. Cleaning products are still sitting inside the vehicle, as if the job had been abandoned halfway through. Investigators identify the driver as Brian Anthony Salazar Guerrero, a 19-year-old from the Houston area. Up until this point, detectives have a blood-stained vehicle, surveillance footage, and fragments of evidence scattered across the investigation. But Salazar Guerrero gives them something far more valuable than physical evidence. Salazar Guerrero admits he was the getaway driver on the night of the robbery. He tells detectives he didn't enter the house himself, but waited nearby while the others carried out the attack. More importantly, he identifies the people he says were with him that night, and describes how the robbery had been planned. The confession points toward Dylan Nesho Campbell, 18, whom investigators describe as the alleged organizer of the operation, and DeMarcus Morris Jr., 17. It also identifies a 4th participant, a 16-year-old juvenile whose name has never been released publicly because of his age. Within days, Houston police execute additional arrests, bringing the investigation that had begun with anonymous figures on security cameras to a dramatic turning point. The evidence continues to fall into place. Investigators recover the laptop taken from Siragusa's home during the robbery. They compare surveillance footage, license plate reader data, witness statements, physical evidence from the Toyota, and the statements made by the suspects. With it, they discovered the suspects had allegedly selected the target in advance, obtained stolen license plates, traveled to the property together, and assigned specific roles before the attack ever began. By March 12th, less than 2 weeks after the home invasion, 3 of the 4 alleged participants are in custody. Salazar Guerrero, Campbell, and Morris are each charged with aggravated kidnapping and aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon, while the 4th suspect faces charges through the juvenile justice system.